Hey, what's up? It's Roy here. So today's video is going to be talking about the new iPhone 15. So with the Apple event just finishing up earlier today, it is, I don't know, 10:30 right now p.m. So I'm getting a late start to this. But yeah, I wanted to discuss the iPhone 15. So the 15, 15 Plus, the Pro, and the Pro Max. Yes, Pro Max, not Ultra. Maybe we'll get that with the iPhone 16s. So let's go over some of the main things that are new with these devices and is it worth the upgrade. So when it comes to the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus, I personally think this is the more significant upgrades versus the previous models over past years, because there are a bunch of new things that we're getting with these more base model phones. And I almost jokingly would call the 15 and 15 Plus almost like a cheap 14 Pro. And the reason why is because it's getting a lot of the 14 Pro stuff in this more base model device. So one, the prices stayed the same, just FYI. I always like to start with that first. So across the board, except for the Pro Max, they're staying the same. So, you got $799, $899, $999. And then for the Pro Max, it jumps up to $1199. But there's a few reasons why, which we'll discuss in a sec. But as far as those pricing standpoints, $799 and $899 is going to get you the 15 or the 15 Plus. Got some beautiful new colors, or I say beautiful, but fun colors, much more vibrant than the more, strictly business Pro models that are more of the darker flat colors. So you got like a yellow, a green, a blue. So there's some fun colors with the 15 and 15 Plus. But the big changes is going to be that one, it gets dynamic island. So dynamic island across the board now. So with that, that's a big change for people, going from the notch to a dynamic island. That's going to be just more user friendly and just actually turn a notch into something that's more functional, to access, like, your driving directions or answering your, a call, or what music's playing when you're listening to Spotify, and just all those things. So dynamic island edition is pretty cool. Also, what you're getting with it is across the board USB-C. So that is a nice addition. Now, there isn't really a huge gain as far as like data transfer speeds and stuff like that with the 15 and 15 Plus, unfortunately. That's kind of more for the Pro models. So it isn't going to be just this like ridiculously much quicker USB-C charging port like some of the Android devices out there. But as far as universally now being able to use one single charger for everything is great. And they even showed a feature where you can use a USB-C to USB-C cable and charge up your AirPods or another device, so that pass-through power through your Apple iPhone to another Apple product, or maybe just not another Apple product, just another USB-C charging port product in general, is kind of cool as well. Now, flipping it around to the back, the big change with the actual iPhone 15 and 15 Plus is going to be the new camera setup. So back in the day, that wide shooter was 12 megapixels. And this year, it's the same 14 Pro camera that we had, which is 48 megapixels. That's a big jump from 12 to 48, just like the Pro model last year. That was a big deal. And yeah, it is. That's a big jump. So for someone who's been shooting with the 12 megapixel camera for many years, and being able to get now more detail and whatnot and more light in the camera through the sensor, and having that 48 megapixel picture is pretty nice. Now, it does pixel bend. Originally, I thought it was pixel bending down to 12 megapixels, but then I was watching another YouTube video that had talked about the 24 megapixel thing. And I didn't see that in the keynote because I was watching it like off and on during my lunch break today. And I think that what it's doing, it's actually pixel bending down to 24 megapixels instead of 12. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. But if that's the case, then we're getting a better, higher resolution photo even than what we did on the iPhone 14 Pro then. And then there are some new camera features as well, like that portrait mode that they showed, where you didn't have to immediately go into portrait mode. So if you just snapped a photo, it's going to take a picture, but save kind of like that depth and that bokeh kind of look if you wanted like that depth of field look. And you can switch it to portrait later if you wanted to, because of the AI and the machine learning stuff, recognizing if it's a photo of a person or an animal and you maybe want that portrait look, but just wasn't sure if you wanted to go portrait or regular. So that's a kind of a cool little thing, which might actually come to the older devices, since it seems more like a software thing. So to be determined with that, but it is an added bonus. Now with the 15 and the 15 Plus as well, we are getting MagSafe as well. So that's always been kind of the thing. So there's a ton, in my opinion, that's nice to get excited about for the 15 and 15 Plus. But once again, is it worth the upgrade? I think it is if you have, like, say, an iPhone 13 or maybe an iPhone 12. It is a quicker, better, faster chip. I mean, it's the A16, so that's the same chip that the Pro models had last year. Supposedly, it is a little more efficient, and then with the bigger battery that these are getting as well, hopefully it doesn't get plagued with the issues that the 14 models had with the A16 chip. So we'll see what happens with that. So to be determined with people's testing and everything like that. But yeah, so I think there's a lot to get excited about. So you let me know if you think that there's enough to get excited about with the 15 and 15 Plus. Now with the 15 Pro, which is what I'm going to be getting, I'm pretty excited about it because there are some things that are exciting in my opinion. So for one, getting titanium finally. I've been hearing the word titanium for years now, and it's finally here. I was really thinking the 14 Pro was going to get it, but now that we have it on the 15 Pro, it's a more durable, lighter, stronger, more scratch resistant and fingerprint resistant material. And I really appreciate that. My wedding band right here is titanium, and there's not a scratch on it. I've had this thing forever. Well, almost 10 years now, and it's done fine. Like, I literally love titanium. I love the look. I love the color. And being able to get an iPhone that's a little bit lighter now is very much welcomed. I think I saw maybe like around 180 grams for the regular Pro. And if that's the case, that's huge, because I can tell you right now, my 14 Pro, it's heavy. I mean, I can definitely tell a difference compared to like my S23 when you're holding them both in the hand. So that is very, very nice, especially the fingerprint stuff. The stainless steel stuff on the 14 Pro is just a fingerprint magnet. Now, granted, most people have cases on their phones, but when I do take my case off or when I do case reviews, I always tend to have to clean those rails, because if I'm looking down where like the lightning port is or the speakers, a lot of times you can see my fingerprints. And so, yeah, it's just going to be nice not having that just fingerprint magnet of a rail. And with the titanium, the edges of the back are going to be a little bit smoother and softer, so a little bit easier in the hand. So if you're a psycho who doesn't put a case on your phone and you like to walk that fine line of just craziness, then you're going to be happy to know that, because it's going to feel better in your hand and not sharp and pointy like the 14 Pro was. We're still getting Dynamic Island. We're still getting a bunch of stuff that we already had in the 14 Pro. It is getting a new A17 Pro Bionic chip, which I'm not sure why they decided just to go from A16 to A17 Pro. I would assume they would have went with A17 since there isn't an A17. But maybe what they're doing is making this the Pro, and then next year when the 16 comes out, maybe the iPhone 16 will get a regular A17 chip, and then the Pros get a more Pro chip moving forward. I don't know, to be determined, but it is an A17 Pro on the 3nm process, so that's cool. 3nm, I've been hearing about this a lot when I've been watching MacBook Pro and MacBook Air videos. And with 3nm, with the efficiency and just with everything about the 3nm side of it, instead of 5nm like it used to be, much more efficient, much more powerful. They're even bragging about like how you can play like high-end games on this phone if you want to, which I don't game really, to be honest with you. I mean, like Bejeweled and stuff on Pigeon is like what I would use. So I'm not going to go play like Resident Evil or anything like that. But with that being said, it is a much more powerful phone. So with the efficiency of the A17 and with the bigger battery as well, I am looking forward to seeing how well the 15 Pro performs versus my 14 Pro, because with my 14 Pro, the battery life has started to dwindle a little bit. Now, it's not a terrible thing, but in reality, guys, I used to be able to get more than a day out of the 14 Pro. And now, like today, for example, I was like at 20%, like at 5 o'clock. So could it get me through the day? Yes, but then I would have to kind of hinder the way I used my device. So just something to think about as we get to this new one, how much better is the battery life? They're claiming 2 more hours, which I'm not sure what that equates to as far as screen on time goes. But if that's the case, then I'll take 2 hours gladly, and it's going to bump up. So I'm really excited about that as well. And really the biggest thing as far as difference goes, especially for the Pro Max, is like I talked about earlier, price. So price does jump up to $11.99, which is the first price hike that the phones have had in like 6 years. So I'm glad that the regular 6.1 inch Pro model didn't get a price hike. I'm excited about that. But I would have been okay with a little bit of a price hike if that meant starting storage was better than 128 gigs. So with the Pro Max model, it starts at 256, and with the Pro, it starts at 128. It would have been nice to have the standard 256 as the base for the Pro model, because I think with the Pro phone, it should have Pro at least 256 storage, especially when you're using ProRAW and ProRes and all these features that you can use to shoot RAW on your phone, and it's just chewing up your storage. So it would have been nice to be able to actually get a better, higher storage. But another reason why the Pro model, or the Pro Max, excuse me, is higher is that we are getting a periscope lens with this phone. So it is 5 times optical zoom, which is better than nothing. But to be honest with you, I kind of would have liked to seen 6 or maybe 8 times zoom on this if they're going to brag about how it's this amazing new periscope lens, because the S23 10 times, right, with the Ultra. And then you got like 100 times space zoom, and just the way that the software works those out, it looks really good. So 5 times is going to be good, but could have been better. So maybe with this first integration of the periscope lens, it's at 5 times, but who knows? Maybe next year, the 16 Pro Max or 16 Ultra or whatever might get 6 times, 7 times, something like that. But with all those new additions, with the better base storage and the periscope lens, obviously there had to be a little bit of a price hike to justify those new upgrades. But other than that, guys, I don't think there's much else to talk about. I know they talked about like the satellite, being able to make satellite calls if you needed assistance, through AAA. But I don't know if those are things to really talk about as far as justifying buying a new phone. But for me, since obviously I have this YouTube channel and they have some good trade-in values on a lot of stuff, I am definitely getting the 15 Pro. I'm definitely going to go with a darker color. Can't remember what the color was called. I think they called it, well, what I'm looking at, it doesn't say the color specifically. It just says black, dark blue, dark gray, and a light gray. The light gray is kind of more of like this titanium color, like the Apple Watch Ultra. The darker black is very similar to what my 14 Pro is. And that's what I'm going to go with, because to be honest with you, I really like the navy blue, but I also like the darker color for my camera bump. So being able, when I'm doing my case reviews, having that darker camera bump universally just looks better in my opinion when I test different cases, instead of having like a bluish tint to it. Because then that doesn't just mesh well with every single color phone cases that I like to test out. So other than that, guys, that's it. Let me know down in the comments if I missed anything. But just to recap, titanium for the pros, better cameras and sensors. I didn't really get lost in the weeds on that, but better sensors, better cameras, better resolution across the board for the ultra wide and the telephoto and all that. So better cameras in general. But yeah, that's it. Like I said, the 15 and the 15 Plus got a little bit more than what I thought they should have gotten. I was really impressed that Apple decided to throw that much into the base already instead of kind of pacing it out a little bit. But other than that, guys, let me know if I missed anything. One more other thing, USB-C with it doesn't really benefit much with the base models, but quicker data speeds. I think it says like USB 3 or something like that. So it's 10 gig of transfer data speeds. So that is a nice addition with these bigger files, trying to get them onto your computer. And that's it. No more. I'm not going to talk anymore. So hit the like button if you like this video. If you loved it, please subscribe. Ring that notification bell for up-to-date content. So be safe. God bless. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.